Christmas Eve rain, guys. That's okay though, I am not feeling good. I think I caught a bug. So back to bed for me. Good morning, guys. It is Christmas morning. Merry Christmas to you guys. I am still feeling pretty sick. I've got a fever. So I don't know that I'll be filming much today. I'm gonna go back to sleep right now. I'll see you guys in a bit. Good morning, guys. It is now Monday, the day after Christmas. I was sick from Saturday morning early all the way till early this morning. I broke my fever. Yeah, I was sick all holiday weekend. I didn't do nothing. I canceled going to see the grandbabies because I didn't want them to get sick. I did take a COVID test. It was not COVID. Some kind of flu bug. Had a fever. My head hurt. My head was pounding. I felt nauseated. Like a high fever for the first day. The second day, about 100 degrees on fever. The first day, though, was 102. I took Tylenol. I can't take ibuprofen because I take blood thinners for my heart. But I took Tylenol. Now, the second day, I did take 2 ibuprofen and Tylenol at the same time, and it kind of lowered my fever. But yeah, I was sick all weekend. No fever as of early this morning. I kind of sweated out, I think, last night. I just turned the heat off in here. It's not very cold outside. It's about 49 or 50 degrees. I've even got my back door open with a tarp over the top, so if it starts raining again, it won't come in my door. But to get fresh air in here, you know how you feel when you're sick and you just feel like you just need to air out the house? That's how I feel, and I'm going to take a shower here in a few. But I thought this would be a good time to talk to you guys about, is it much harder being sicker living in a van? Or I don't know about a car, but as for me, living in the van, and this is the second time I've been pretty sick in the van. I was sick my first year in the van right before COVID, and I kind of think maybe I had COVID. I had a flu bug or something that lasted 2 weeks, and it took me a month or a month and a half to recover. I mean, fevers, nightmares from having a fever, that type of sick. I'd wake up and my shirt would be soaking wet. But was it harder? The question I'm answering here, I've had people ask this: is it more difficult when you're sick and you live in a van? No, actually, for me personally, I have a bread truck and it's rather big. But even when I lived in an apartment, when I was sick, I'd have to get up and walk to the other side of the apartment, the other end of the apartment to go to the restroom. My restroom's right by my bed. It's kind of nice. My kitchen's not far, from my bedroom area. So I can go make me a cup of tea or something. But yeah, it's not harder to me at all being sick living in the van. It might be more difficult if you were living in a car. I mean, because you would have to get out to go to the restroom or whatever. You know, I know a lot of car dwellers, people that live in their cars, and, you know, they can't have a luggable loo or a composting toilet in the car. I could see that being a little bit more hard. You know, you don't want to get out in the air when you're sick. But as far as for me living in the van, it's not any more hard than living in a apartment or a house. And as far as keeping things cleaned up, I mean, like, it only takes me, even if the whole van is messy, it just takes me 30 minutes to clean the whole van. If I want to do a deep clean, maybe an hour or two if I'm moving everything and vacuuming. So it's easy to keep clean because it's small. And I've never had problems with small spaces. Even when I lived in my apartment, I stayed in my room a lot, or I would just stay in the living room a lot. I'd sleep on the couch or whatever. I like small spaces, I always have, so I think that's why van life is fitting for me. But as far as being sick and living in the van, it's not any more difficult. It's just difficult being sick, I tell you. Now, if I was traveling, you guys do know I stay in one area. I have a spot that I rent to park. If I was traveling cross country, you know, it'd be hard if I wasn't able to stop and stay somewhere for a week or two, to get well. I think that would be hard, because I have seen van lifers on YouTube that, you know, they're sick, they're on the road, but they're having to drive, and I feel for them. I was just watching Nikki Deventhal, and she was sick in the van that she had rented, trying to get across country, and so I felt for her. She looked pretty sick. It was pretty miserable for her. But yeah, I think that could be difficult if you're traveling and you can't stop somewhere and get well, you know, rest up. Or it would be difficult, in my opinion. As far as the van itself, I really don't think it's any more difficult. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Let's get down to the real talk of it, though. So say you have a stomach flu where you have diarrhea and you're having to go to the bathroom a lot. Even in that situation, I have been sick like that in my van. The luggable loo, I have a luggable loo, and I have good bags. I use sawdust, or I'll use kitty litter, but sawdust mostly, or wood chips, I put in the bag. And if that's the case, you know, and you change your bag, I change my bag every time I go. I just tie the bag up, kind of like, you guys remember the diaper genies? You know, you wrap the diaper in it, it'll twist it. I just tie the bag up, tie it tight. I have a separate bucket that I put that in, and then I can dispose of that bucket. You know, it has a lid on it, so there's no smell. And there's hardly any smell with the sawdust or even the kitty litter or the wood chips. But that's what I use as far as the composting part of it, and or the, you know, disposing of it. Wrap the bags up tight, just like you would a diaper genie bag, and I put it in a separate bucket. I throw that away properly, you know, dispose of it properly in a large can, or here where I park at, they have cans that we fill up and then they haul them to the dump. Even when I've stayed in campgrounds, that's how I dispose of it. Put it in the dumpster and it's done. Number one, the voiding part of it, I dispose of that in I separate that. In my bucket, it's separate. Number two, and you have where you're number one. And so it works out perfect. It isn't any harder, even with a stomach virus. I have found how I have mine set up. It isn't any harder. You guys know I have cats, and I dispose of their kitty litter. I use litter. You know, I tried wood chips, and they won't use the wood chips. The wood pellets, they won't use it. I don't know why. I know Matthew from Van Life Plus, his kitties use that. Mine just look at it like, are you kidding me? Do you really think I'm going to use the bathroom in that? They just don't want nothing to do with it, and I don't know why. But I use clumping litter, and I dispose of that the same way. I put it in a bag, tie it tight, and I put it in the same container where I put the bags from my bucket. And I dispose of them that way. I dispose of it that way, and it works well. There's no smell from that either. So yeah, so that's the down and dirty on being sick, living in a van. Like I said, I do believe it will be harder living in a car because you can't have a toilet. And you know where it could get hard is I can shower in my van, but if you have a smaller van and you can't, you know, and you really need a shower, not just a bird bath or a wipe down with wipes, you know, you don't feel like going into a truck stop or a fitness center or a campground that has a shower. You may not feel like doing that. So that's where it can get hard. But you know, it is what it is. And I'm thankful for my van. To me, my van is like my castle. I love it. And so, yeah, being sick is not any more difficult for me than being in an apartment, I found. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for being a part of my journey. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace out.